I've been fighting these battles for such a long time. So when I first started carnivore, I couldn't even stand up long enough to fry an egg. My list of diagnoses is like 62 things on that list. And
Oh
so and
my
that
goodness.
yes, and that probably doesn't include everything. I was before carnivore. I dislocated something 2 to 3, 4 times a day, every single day. And now I dislocate maybe 1 or 2 times a week. It's a miracle. I'm telling you, it is a miracle that like, God came down and gave me a miracle that I don't dislocate something every day like I did before. But it's not my luck. It's not that I'm being careful. I could take a jug of milk out of the refrigerator and dislocate my shoulder or my wrist just picking it up. So it's nothing that I'm being careful about. It is strictly because my body is getting stronger by what I'm eating with these animal products.
Hello, everyone. Adam with Carnivore Today, and today I have a very special guest, Amy Hosp. So, Amy, for those that don't know you, can you introduce yourself?
Yes, been doing carnivore for a while now, and I'm so excited to get to share with you today. I'm a missionary, an author, a photographer, um, and striving to do all of those things all the time. I'm single, no kids, and I would love to say that I live the perfect singles life, but that might mean for some just not having to cook dinner and pick up toys. I don't know. So it's pretty perfect.
Right? Yeah, that's awesome. So, obviously, we're here today to talk about all things food and figure out exactly what Amy's been getting into lately, specifically with the carnivore diet. So, what led you to eating a carnivore diet?
My health. I have a few friends that were doing carnivore and they introduced it to me. And I was not interested in doing this to lose weight. It's obvious that I need to lose weight, but vanity is not an issue for me anymore. Now that I'm in my ripe old age of past vanity matters, whatever age that may be. But, I knew that with my health, I have a lot of health conditions. Some of them are very rare, and some of the combinations are extremely rare. And so I knew, though, that if I was able to better my health, that the weight loss would follow. So I've also been probably a little bit more successful on following carnivore because I'm not focused on the weight loss. A lot of people do carnivore for a lot of different reasons, but um, I know for myself, if I did it just for weight loss, I would sabotage myself and, you know, just I had to be I have to be one of those that push through, um, and be very determined to get done what I need to do for my health. So I'm that person that goes to the doctor and questions everything and asks, but what about this? Well, what if I did this? What if we, and yeah, because I've been fighting these battles for such a long time. So when I first started carnivore, I couldn't even stand up long enough to fry an egg. And so I have
Right.
POTS, postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, along with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. That's a connective tissue disorder that causes you to make faulty collagen. And your collagen is like your glue that holds you together. So it's similar to think about if you made a house of pixie sticks or little, wooden sticks and you glued them all together, but your glue wasn't good and the house just kind of falls apart. That's kind of what the
Mm.
Ehlers-Danlos body is like. And so I knew that eating carnivore would be very helpful, if nothing else, just to help my muscles and joints and ligaments and things of that nature that are such an issue with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. So probably about 2.5 months in, maybe not even quite that long. Let's say it wasn't that long. I started in January 2024. On January 20th, and I gave myself 2 weeks to accommodate myself to the diet so that I would get a successful start on February 1st. And by the second week of March, I had a wheelchair that I used everywhere that I went because of POTS. Standing up too long would tend to pass out. I was able to put that wheelchair in storage in the second week of March, and so I don't use it anymore. And
Awesome.
I never used it in my home because I never really stood up. So and putting it in the vehicle, I would injure myself every time that I put it in or took it out, and it was a hassle. I was thankful to have it, but I'm just so thankful now. I don't even have to worry about it. It's it's so great because I don't think about, oh, that's going to be a really long way to walk. I can't go because I'm not using my chair anymore. It's not like that. I'm excited to go for the long walk challenge.
Wow, that's amazing. So what actually led you to the carnivore diet? Like, where did you hear about it from?
Two of my friends from church, they had been doing carnivore for some time, probably 2 or 3 years ago. And as a matter of fact, the husband had COVID, and obviously was very, very sick with it in the hospital. And they started doing carnivore, and he has recovered really well. And also, he had diabetes, I believe, or pre-diabetes, and so he didn't have a problem with that anymore. And they just encouraged me and knew that that I probably could, with their knowledge of carnivore, that I would be able to get my life back. You know, Unfortunately, I didn't know them before, much before that, so they hadn't seen my decline over the years. But just the fact that every time I went to church, I had to take a wheelchair with me. I go to a very large church in downtown Dallas, so it's not like, just walking across the congregation to get somewhere. It's like a city block to go from Sunday school to service, you know. Uh, but
Wow.
yeah, I was so thankful for them showing me. And it just was the easiest thing. This is the easiest thing I've ever done in my life as far as meal planning. Um, when I first started, I learned how to cook my eggs in the microwave since I couldn't stand up long enough. And I ate pre cooked meat, like hamburger patties and things of that nature, and just made it very, very simple for me to get started. And I knew that if I would just be consistent in those first couple of weeks, that soon I would be feeling better. And who knew, now I could cook as many eggs as I want and clean up the mess afterwards. And, so um, carnivore, honestly, though, has made me the most hopeful I've ever been in my entire adult life for my health. And
Wow.
it's just, I'm happy about it. I haven't grieved anything, and like cupcakes or anything like that. I have not been tempted a single time, just because I've set my mind to this, that this is exactly what I need to do. And I think that if I were doing, say, well, we can name any number of weight loss diets that I could do, they're hard work. This is not hard work. This is easy, very, very easy. And so it's just success all the way through for me. And I'm thankful. I mean, of course, there are days that I have struggled along the way. I'm not 100% healthy. I have a long way to go. But each day, it's that consistency. It's not being perfect every day. It's the consistency of doing the next right thing, and that builds up and gives you your confidence over time.
I love that. So you had mentioned that you were sick for, obviously for a while before that. What other kind of issues were you dealing with earlier in life?
Well, so with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, you come out of the womb with issues, um, and some people have. Everybody that has Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, they all have a different. There's, I think, about 16 different types, but all of their symptoms are different. Some symptoms are exactly the same, and then some are so random because we are individual. Um, you get so many things. I have probably um. Hmm, well, it's really hard to say, but my list of diagnoses is like 62 things on that list. And
Oh
so, and
my
that,
goodness.
yes, and that probably doesn't include everything. But for a person, if I lived on a planet where everybody had Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, that would be very normal. I would be very normal. All of you that have one or two or five things, y'all are, that would be the unusual. So, but um, as a child, I was pretty active and just very flexible. But I also had issues with, I can remember we would go to, like, say, Six Flags. And even at the age of 7 and 8, my parents would have to get a stroller for me because I would be in such pain in my legs with really bad shin splints. And so I never really dislocated very many things as a child. Um, but as an adult, I dislocate I was before carnivore, I dislocated something 2 to 3, 4 times a day, every single day. And now I dislocate maybe 1 or 2 times a week. And my overall pain is gone. I always had overall pain. Um, and that's much better. If I do injure myself, the pain only lasts a day or two. When I was a baby, I was born with a tube from my kidney to my bladder that was backwards. And this is a big marker in Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. And I ended up with a really severe kidney infection and nearly died from it and had that corrected. And so I've had, oh, I don't know, maybe I lost count. I think 25, 26 surgeries and
My
probably
goodness.
um probably at least 4 of those before the age of 18. So, it's your life because that's the only thing that but the moment that you start feeling better, oh, it's like, oh, I had no idea that you didn't have to hurt all the time, that you didn't have to have pain. So, one other thing that I found out, and I was not even diagnosed with this until I was around 35, which is also normal. For people with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, some doctors have never even heard of it. Um, or they tell you you're crazy. There's no way anybody could hurt that badly. Or you get diagnosed with fibromyalgia, which is a little bit of a catch-all
Hmm.
pain bucket to put everybody in that has pain. And fibromyalgia is a real thing, by the way, and a lot of people with EDS actually have fibromyalgia. But
Oh,
um,
goodness.
I also learned whenever I was, I guess it was maybe around the age of 42 or 3, that I have 6 congenital heart issues. I have a hole in my heart, which is called an ASD. And then I have a flap that doesn't close. That's a PFO. And it's extremely rare to have both of these together. And so I've had doctors that don't believe me, or even the doctors that have seen it on scans. So that's been a big struggle because I also have with that um, bidirectional shunting, which just means it messes with your oxygen with your blood, doesn't mix the way it's supposed to. I don't quite understand the way to explain it
Hmm.
easily. But that was another reason why my wheelchair was necessary, because I cannot stand as long as the average person, but I could go to church now. And just to give you a time frame, um, seeing sit and stand as you go through the song service, before the preaching begins. But could I stand up and talk to somebody for 30 minutes after? No, but I could now for 10 or 15. And that's a huge, huge thing. So it's just with people with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, there's no cure, there's no treatment. You just deal with your injuries as you can, and it's progressive. It gets worse as you age. So I'm looking very much forward to mine not being progressive, thanks to carnivore. And it all has to do with what we're feeding ourselves to further destroy what's not there. When you have faulty collagen, it's almost like having a wicker chair. If you think about a very old wicker chair that has been sitting outside and it's kind of falling apart and there's just like frayed ends. So your collagen is kind of like this. My collagen is kind of like that chair. So now anything that collagen supports, your muscles, your ligaments, your tendons, they're not going to work correctly and you're going to injure yourself. And so it's a miracle. I'm telling you, it is a miracle that, like, God came down and gave me a miracle that I don't dislocate something every day like I did before. And that can be nothing but it's not my luck. It's not that I'm being um, careful. I could take a jug of milk out of the refrigerator and dislocate my shoulder or my wrist just picking it up. So it's nothing that I'm being careful about. It is strictly because my body is getting stronger by what I'm eating with these animal products.
That's absolutely incredible. I love that. I love hearing that. I'm excited to see what's coming for you in the future as time moves on. So I want to kind of jump to, you talked about having these dislocations, and at least for me, that seems like that would be very frustrating, right? Um,
Mhm.
Having to deal with this day in and day out. So, is there anything in terms of how that affected you mentally then
Definitely.
versus now, the way that you're eating?
Yes, 100%. Also, I'm telling you, Ehlers-Danlos covers just about everything that could be wrong with you. I'm not kidding. And one of the things that it organically does to you is cause depression. Not only does it organically give you depression, but then your situation gives you depression. Because especially kids, and some kids dislocate a lot more than I did. And that doesn't necessarily mean that someone's EDS is not as bad as someone else's because your symptoms just may come in another form. Mine were more vascular symptoms as a child, but definitely, not being able to clean my house like I want to, not being able to cook for myself. And I lived alone all these years, and um, I didn't have anybody coming over to support me because they couldn't understand. Because with Ehlers, you look like you're perfectly healthy. Um, and Ehlers people, some people are very overweight, some people are thin. And there's no stereotypical look to someone with Ehlers. Other than maybe they're 75 and they look like they're 55, that's a perk. Uh, I hope that's a perk for me. But
Okay.
no, I don't think I'm doing too bad for 76. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not that old at all. But, see, and this is what I've had to develop is a sense of humor because I was so sad all the time. I just could not be the person I wanted to be. So I'm a missionary and I went to the mission field in spite of my weight and in spite of my Ehlers and suffered a great deal. But I mean, physically, um, but I would go and do it again because I'm just that determined kind of person. And I think that a lot of people with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome have a special gift, and that is almost superhero. I don't know how many people that can dislocate two joints in one day, or even just one joint in one day. Even their little pinky, dislocate your little pinky. When's the last time you did that? And that you weren't hurting for a week and had it all wrapped up, and we dislocate things all the time and just kind of put it back in place and move on, you know, and
Wow.
and but it is my depression with carnivore is gone. It I would spiral so quickly. Say I'm gonna cook something to go to a church gathering, and I dislocate my wrist. Well, now I can't stir the batter. I can't, do. This is just an example. And so then I would just think, well, now what am I going to do? Oh, I guess I need to go to the store and buy something, but oh, I don't have the energy to go to the store and park maybe somewhere that's not close and go through the line. I can't stand in line. I'll have to get my chair out to and it's not it's not necessarily a circumstance that people that don't live with chronic illness have to go through. So it's hard to explain. It's too much work to do that one thing because by the time I came home just from going to the store, I would not feel like going to the party. I probably wouldn't really feel like going to the party after I bake something anyway, by the way. But you're just always having to strategically plan your life, and that's depressing. It's like you're trapped in a prison, you know.
Wow. Well, I'm happy to hear that things are better for you. Um, that's it's incredible that just changing what you eat is able to have such a profound effect.
Yes, and who knew that I do strict carnivore. I eat beef, bacon, butter, and eggs, and I eat more eggs than anything. I've also had gastric bypass surgery, and so I was told you can never eat carnivore. And it kept me from really trying. Back when keto became extremely popular, I thought, oh, I can't do that. That's kind of like carnivore, and I just can't do it. And that's a lie. And so 9, 10 months now, you know what? I've never had a single bite of steak in all of this time. And I've lost 56 pounds. And the depression is gone. My mind is clear. I can think through things. Um, I'm accomplishing so many things that I never thought I would accomplish ever. I'm not having symptoms all day long every day. I do struggle with sleep, but before carnivore, I was getting 2.5 to 3 hours a night, not even all at the same time. And now I average around 6 hours a night. I'm pretty sure it's because my pain is better. My pain, I think, was waking me up. Had my blood test done with somebody that is chronically ill as I am. You do not have normal blood work. All of the blood work that I've done, which includes everything for heart, for hormones, everything is smack dab in the middle. This has never happened to me before in my life. And so
Wow.
PCOS, hypothyroidism, right now, my blood work shows I do not have those conditions. I know that if I were to stop doing carnivore and go back to a SAD diet, they probably would come back, and my mom put me on my first diet when I was 8 years old, and this is where Lynn and I, my co-author for our books, this is where our passion is. We want children to know that whatever reason, like if my mom would have just set me down and said, "Look, uh, this is going to help you when you're older. We don't want you to be unhealthy." They had no idea that I had Ehlers-Danlos. I'm adopted, and so no one in my family had anything like this. There were no clues or hints at all,
Mm.
that anything was wrong with me. And but if she could have just sat down and said, "We're doing this because it's going to make you healthy," then I could have grown up making a lot different decisions. And instead, I grew up thinking, "Oh, well, my mom's not happy with me. She doesn't like the way I look." So I grew up hating myself and
Mhm.
hating the way that I looked you know, um, and that's why I gave up on vanity a long time ago because I knew I would never like the way that I look, and that's not important. And this is something else that's very important to me, Adam, is that I realized that I was believing lies about myself. Whatever we believe as children, we can't process it like an adult would. So my mother did not say anything to harm me. She just didn't realize as a child, I'm going to take that she doesn't like the way I look. That's not what she meant at all, right? So this is
Mhm.
one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about teaching kids at a young age, because if they could just realize, hey, this is going to make you stronger, make you faster, make you smarter. And, you can also teach a child by saying, look at Granny Smith or, Miss So-and-so next door. And she's a grandma, but she limps around a lot, and she hunches over. And if she ate this way, she would be a lot stronger, And so that's my passion for carnivore for kids. I have a lot of passions about carnivore for people, but and definitely for people with Ehlers. And more people I'm hearing are eating carnivore with Ehlers and having a lot of success, and at least nothing else, their overall pain going away.
Oh, that's great. So you mentioned your book. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Sure. Can I show you?
Sure.
We have 2 books. We have 2 books that we've written so far. We have several, in the bag ready to come, but this first one is called I forget. Superhuman Foods for Humanity, and a portion of these proceeds are going for this book are going to the Healing Humanity movie, and book is about, some superheroes that are Power Beef, Power Bacon, Power Butter, and Power Egg. It is a comic book, um, and an activity book. We have some coloring pages, activities. Let's see if I can make some activities for the kids, a place to write your own recipes, a place to make your own comics. And the comic book here is just a story about some kids that go on a field trip and they meet beef, bacon, butter, and eggs, and the superheroes take them through what the standard American diet can and can't do for you, which is make you sick. And so then we wrote a second book called Sugar Cubey, the Sugar Monster. And this book is the portion of the proceeds for this book is going to the American Diabetes Society that Dr. Ken Berry has started. And in this book, we actually use Dr. Berry's children, Bonnie and Beckett, and his grandmother, Granny Berry. I'm not sure how well you can see that, but the sugar cubey monster. I should have given them different names because they're a little difficult to say. But Sugar QB, he goes around and sprinkles sugar in the sacks of the children's lunches and on their treats. And the children go visit their Granny Berry and they're tired. And Granny Berry's, why are you so grumpy? And they're like, well, we don't know. And so she calls in the Superhuman Power Food Gang to come and
Oh,
teach
cool.
the children about the sugar and how carnivore can help them. And so then the children become Superhuman Power Food Gang members. And so we have several more books coming up, and any child that tells their friends about carnivore is going to get to join the Superhuman Power Food Gang and be a superhuman hero. So we're really excited about these. And you can definitely get them on Amazon, and you can type in my name, or you can type in Lynn DeVoke's name. So either one, or just type in the names of the books, and they'll come up usually together. You'll see one, you'll see the other.
Awesome. Yeah, those are incredible. So I have this Superhuman Power Food, the Beef, Butter, Bacon, and Eggs book. I
Yes.
have that one, and it's really, really cool. So I actually bought some additional copies to give out to folks that I know with
Oh,
kids.
thanks.
So I'll definitely make sure that those are linked in the description below for
Okay.
everybody to make sure that they can get their copy.
Okay.
Um, so you had mentioned, that you had this issue sort of done, with your mother where she sort of injured you mentally, not knowingly, right? When you're younger and you kind of have this connection with children. So, and you wrote these books as a result of that because of the healing that you're having. Do you have any more books planned?
Yes, we do. We have several that are ready. We have another story that's already written. Now we're just going back to put in our pictures. And well, we both of us have a few extras written. So we probably have I think by the time we get all the ones published that we have written, we'll have probably around 8 books altogether. And so far, these are the only children's books on the market for carnivore, with carnivore characters and things, and we're excited about that. And I was going to say too, if you don't have any children, purchase some to put in your local library or your local school library, because it's spreading the word. Definitely. I also had learning difficulties when I was a child. Another gift of Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, and so I taught school for a little while and worked with special ed kids because I wanted to help them learn how to find different skills and things so that they could uh, be more successful in school. And so I've had a passion for kids for a really long time. You know, it's good to love on the little ones, because you never really know what's going on at home. And I have to say, I mean, being adopted, I scored with the parents that I got. I had a really great childhood, but there were just things that, fortunately, I think it's also a gift that I grew up knowing that the things that I perceived in my mind as a child weren't necessarily what the facts are. So I've never been one to blame my parents or blame my upbringing or people around me for those places that injured. Maybe I took things too seriously as a child. I don't know. But it's just important to their future. What am I going to do? And since I didn't have my own to raise, I want to impact as many as I can with positive things.
I love that. That's awesome. So you mentioned that you're a missionary. How long have you been doing that?
Well, I was actually felt like I was called to be a missionary when I was 9. So I grew up going with my church. We would go down to Mexico. The men would build a church. The children, the youth that went, we would do puppet shows and vacation Bible school type activities. And then I had a youth minister who came to my church and then moved to Mexico when I was in 9th grade. And I spent every summer with them through high school and through college in Mexico City. And I served in New York City. I was on my way to Nigeria, and I got there the day before 9/11, mainly because I'm really talented with timing. Um, and
Right.
so I was there for a few months, and then I came back. It was impossible to travel. But then a couple of years later, I went and served in Nigeria. And I live in Fort Worth, and I had a great gig of living in an apartment building, and I was the missionary for the building. So I got to live there for free and, do community things with the group. And so, but I've done missions type work my entire life. And currently, I feel called to go out and minister to those people that are doing van life. There are a lot of, I've noticed there's a demographic of people that are now in their late 60s, early 70s, living out in the desert in a van and trying to find their center out, doing this kind of a thing, trying to just find out who they are or whatever. And I just want to go and share with them, that God created us and that He has good things for us. So my goal is to move into my van and get on the road. I was doing that when my mom passed away. Adam, another
Mhm.
talent of mine. I had an Amazon style van, and I was getting out of the van. I was having to use a step stool because I was not healthy to pull, which, by the way, I did injure myself every time I got in and out of that crazy van. My van I have now is lower to the ground, so it's not a hassle. Plus, I'm stronger. But the day I was closing on the house to sell it, um, I was getting out of the van and I fell and I broke both of my legs. So,
Goodness.
yeah, so good, talented that way. But that's because also I have another condition called Osteogenesis imperfecta. It's a brittle bone disease. And so that also is progressive. And I've broken probably about 6 bones in my left foot and maybe one or two in my right foot. And, now a knee and an ankle from falling out of the van. But that also used to, I mean, I'm talking like I could just several times I've just slid my you take your shoe off and you put your foot on the ground and doing that I would break a bone in my foot. It was ridiculous.
My goodness.
I'm I'm
Oh, that
strong in a weird kind of way, I guess.
wow. So, how has eating carnivore helped you in your missionary life?
Well, it's gonna make it a lot easier to cook in the van, that's for sure. With
Right?
gastric bypass surgery recently, I was having trouble. If you eat too much fat, you have bad circumstances. It gives you what's called dumping syndrome. And so I was having an issue with that. And sometimes anybody that's had any type of weight loss surgery can have this issue. I don't eat steak because it's hard to swallow for me. Sometimes the food gets stuck because you have a pouch or stomach left that's about the size of an egg. And so a lot of food doesn't fit in there at one time. And if you get it over full, then it kind of backs up in your esophagus. And so changed my game plan not too long ago and started eating mainly eggs. And I do eat meat about 3 times a week, two or 3 times a week, and I'll eat pre-cooked hamburger patties, or I just prefer them over raw meat to cook, and hot dogs, and sometimes some canned beef, some things like that that are a little bit softer,
Mm.
and brisket. I eat brisket. When I eat meat, it's mainly brisket. But I started eating eggs and making chaffles. If you don't know what a chaffle is, you need to look it up. It's like waffle, but with a ch. So, I started adding dairy with it, so some cheese with my eggs with the chaffle, and I put sour cream on them or cream cheese, and, rarely do I have heavy cream that I put in what I drink, but I drink bone broth, a lot of protein, and I will put coconut oil or butter in them, and, that's kind of my diet right now. I challenged myself to do it for a week to see what happens, and in the past month, I've lost, probably about 6 pounds doing this. Also,
Nice.
remembering those gastric bypass rules, anybody that's had it will laugh about this. You can't drink anything 30 minutes before, during, or after a meal. So, sometimes I have to have a sip of water. The reason is because your small intestine, where you absorb most of your food, at least I think I have this right. But anyway, that is very much shortened. So if the food moves through too quickly, one, you'll overeat, and two, that food's not going to get absorbed with that tiny little piece that you have. But I'm telling you right now, I do not take vitamins. I do not take supplements, and my blood work still. I mean, my all of my protein levels, sodium levels, my glucose levels, everything was perfect. And most people with gastric bypass surgery, you're very malnourished and you have to take vitamins and supplements because you just don't get that. I even have hemochromatosis, which means that I store too much iron and my iron levels are perfect. There's not too much or too little. I'm not anemic. I mean, it's just, and it's all because of carnivore. And I just wish that people could understand that this is not an incomplete diet. It is not a restrictive diet, in that you are certainly feeding your body. You know, the SAD diet is very restrictive. Standard American diet, it is a very restrictive diet. If you look at my blood work before and now, it is proof this is not a restrictive diet. A restrictive diet would not give you good blood work, you know, in
Right.
my opinion, in my medical opinion, which I'm not a doctor or a medical person, just experience.
Right. Yeah, that's great. So what do you feel like in the past, what was causing the issues for you? Was it mainly sugary foods, or the plants, or combination of both?
Quite frankly, it wasn't necessarily what I was like. I think what I was eating. It's what I was eating, but the reason why I was eating what I was eating was more of the problem. It's because I physically was not able to prepare anything for myself. So for years, I lived on tortilla chips and salsa because my tortilla chips could sit right next to me by my chair that I could never get up out of. And the salsa, if and if I didn't feel like getting the salsa, I just ate the tortilla chips. I was not ever really a sweet eater person. I mean, I would take one, but it's nothing I craved.
Mhm.
Um, at least not on a regular basis. And but I was more of a salt seeker, and that's because of the pots. I used to eat olives when I was a kid, and always got in trouble for eating olives. I don't know if they were just for special occasions. I don't know why I get in trouble for eating olives, but I was searching for that salt. I used to take a pickle and a bouillon cube to school with me every single day, and I would just break off pieces of a bouillon cube to eat because I needed that salt. It's part of what POTS does for you. You have to have a lot of salt. So carnivore, as far as with POTS, that's a great game connector right there, because you have to eat a lot of salt on both, for POTS and that. Definitely, it wasn't what I was eating, Adam, for me, and anybody else that's chronically ill would 100% understand. It was the ability to fix anything for myself. If it didn't come in a box that was in their freezer, couldn't make it. Couldn't do it.
Oh, wow. That's, uh that's rough, and I can relate to the, chips and salsa addiction. I definitely had one of those as well.
When I moved to Fort Worth, I moved here to go to seminary, to be a missionary, as a matter of fact. And I renamed Fort Worth the land of chips and salsa because there are so many Mexican food restaurants here. So I actually named my van Bean Dip in honor of Fort Worth for all the hot sauce and bean dip. And
Oh, wow. Um, do you have any other book projects that you're working on right now that's
I
not a children's
do.
book?
I do. I've all of a sudden had like I don't know, creative energy burst. I think this happens when your brain gets more clear. Um, and so in the past 2 weeks, I've written three books. One about collagen and how it performs in ADS and how carnivore diet can support that. And I've written another book about EDS and hormonal issues, and which hormonal issues you're more likely to have in that uh, subset of illnesses with EDS, and how carnivore can help support those problems, or meaning I shouldn't call support them, but it fix those problems. I'll just say fix them. Um, and then also a book on another book. What is that one? On Oh my goodness, but a third book, same thing with, heart issues. That's what it is, heart
Right.
issues, and what kind of heart issues that you can have with connective tissue disorders, and how carnivore helps those issues. And that was in the past 2 weeks. Each book is probably at least 300 pages, and, I mean,
Oh
it's
my
just like
goodness.
my brain is in overdrive a little bit.
I'd say 900 pages in 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's really crazy, but, thank goodness for computers, and,
Right,
being able to say what you wanna say into a phone. But, I
right.
do have some other children's books on the market. I have a really cute, book of how fish Thanksgiving the Fishy Way, how the fish came and saved the pilgrims because they were so seasick, and the fish came and swam under the boat, and made the boat level so they could
Oh, that's
not eat
cool.
seasick. It's really cute. Different and just some others on my page on if you go to Amazon and type in my name, you can see I have around 12 or so, uh, children's story books, couple of coloring books. Those are important coloring books.
Right, right. Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. Just so everyone knows, full disclosure, we're both members of Healing Humanity Life, which is a membership group that helps people kind of kick off their carnivore journey, helps them along the way. Social group that where you can connect with like-minded individuals. And right after this call, we have another call called Breaking Addictions, and I'm really excited for that. So you have some experience with programs that are similar to 12 step or actual 12-step programs. So, can you talk about that a little bit?
Sure, back when I was, I think a sophomore between my sophomore and my freshman and sophomore year in college, my mom approached me with, um we have a friend who is in an exercise and health program. The word nutrition back in the mid 80s wasn't really a big word, but and they said, we think you would really enjoy that. And so I went. Turns out it was not a health and uh, eating and health nutritional program. It was an eating disorder clinic, which I was thinking about that the other day. Why did this lady tell us? And I think because I grew up in a small town and she didn't want anybody to know.
Mm.
So she
Okay.
posed it as that. Maybe she didn't know, I don't know, but, I mean, prior to going in. But her mom, this lady's mother was my seamstress, which I had visited many times in my life because I grew up heavy, and she was always taking out clothes for me to wear. So I went, and there I was introduced to Overeaters Anonymous, and it was a requirement to go, in the program. Fortunately, it was, in the hospital where I was, they had a program, and so they would march us over to this program and go to OA, and um, it's just like Alcoholics Anonymous, except for your choice of how to abuse yourself is food in OA. And what the issue is that we all have some type of if I should preface by saying, if you are dealing with sugar addiction, or in my case, I would say probably salt addiction, which is lesser of the two evil, um, but any type of addiction in your life, more than likely there's some childhood trauma or some depression that you have, or a lack of self confidence, or a lack of self worth, self esteem, things of that nature. And, we kind of do these things to cover our emotions. One, so you don't have to feel your emotions, and two, so that you don't ever have to face your problems. And it's very important to get involved in a group like this, whatever your choice of substance would be, because if you don't face that problem, you're never going to progress. And I've had lots of counseling through the years. Um, and I'm so thankful because now I can see where what I was believing about myself was a lie. God did not create us as some slum for the earth. He loves us, and he cares for us, right? And he wants good things for us. And so we have to really listen to what he says and believe what he says about us. And groups like OA and AA and um, Narcotics Anonymous, whatever it is, they're important because you not only connect with other people who are dealing with the same issues, kind of have been there, done that kind of relationships, and you learn more about yourself, and you learn to be honest and open with yourself. It's more important to do that than to be open and honest with other people. If you can't be open and honest with yourself first, you're probably not going to be very honest and open about things with other people. I'm not calling people a liar, but just saying, if you're going to face your problems, kind of have to start with yourself. And there's also the camaraderie that's in there,
Yeah.
and education. And if you've never worked through 12 steps, even if you don't ever go to a group, go find an AA book. Actually, nowadays you can probably just find them online. And if nothing else, read through them and see if you see anything in there at all that you feel like you need to work on, or that you relate to, and maybe really start thinking about finding a group to go to somewhere. There will definitely be a group, probably pretty much anywhere in the United States within a 5 to 50 mile radius, that, of a group, that, and you can go do them online. And you could also join the group here by going through the website, becoming a member and joining our group.
Yeah, that's definitely something that I never really had experience with, and you know, getting into this, and yeah, I'm just really excited about what's to come in terms of that group because coffee is a huge addiction for me, and more so caffeine. Really,
Mhm.
it's a caffeine addiction, and it's gone beyond like this last round. It's just it's just calling me all the time. Go back to it. And I don't know why. I've always been pretty good about once I decide on something and move forward, that I'm able to just do what I want, right? But this last time cutting coffee out, it's like I don't know what is going on. It just keeps calling to me.
I'm
So
reaching for something, sorry, because
yeah,
I wanna tell you about, something that will be helpful, something I did for carnivore when I first started. I think why I've been successful, I honestly have not cheated a single time on carnivore, which shocks me. I'm shocked by this, by the way. You know, and the reason being is because did some goal setting in the very beginning, and I wanted to share with you kind of what I did for my goals, and I'm looking at this so that I don't leave something out. Um, so I in the beginning just decided this is the only way that I'm going to be successful, and so I did a different type of goal setting. What I did at first, I did an analysis, and the analysis was what needs to change in my life. Is Am I happy where I'm at? And I only wrote 3 or 4 sentences for each one, but my analysis was I need help with my health because um at the time I was extremely young, 57, still 57. But and I just knew this is only going to get worse. As far as I can foresee, I'm not going to be having anybody come and take care of me. So I don't have any kids, I don't have any grandkids, I don't, it's just me. There's nobody
mm,
that's gonna come take care of me. And so then I thought, okay, well, my objective is how am I going to fix this with my analysis? My analysis is I need to get healthy. How am I gonna do that? My objective was to eat carnivore and what to avoid during carnivore. And another couple of sentences that next was my strategy. Okay, well, how was I going to accomplish eating carnivore? For me, that was important because I knew I couldn't get up and cook for myself. How in the world am I going to do this? Okay, well, I'm going to get online and watch videos. I found Laura Spat, who has to travel for work. And so she eats out a lot with carnivore. And I listened and paid attention. I knew where I could go if I couldn't feel like fixing something. I could run to McDonald's and get some hamburger patties. And then next was my action. What actions do I need to take to fix my strategy? So I had to get online and research where all I could have groceries delivered from. Where could I go and buy everything at one store and not have to go back and forth? And then the next thing was my mindset. What do I need to do to keep my mind focused on this as long as I can? And I wrote a few things. And the last one was the solution. What am I going to do to keep this going? What do I need to focus on so that um, I'll want to keep doing this? And my focus was, okay, 90 days. I chose 90 days. And Dr. Berry always challenges everybody 90 days. And I said, my solution is I'm going to do this 90 days. At the end of 90 days, if nothing's changed and I hate it, it's a free world. I can quit. I don't have to do this ever again. I've proved to myself it does or doesn't work. And that's what I did. So set some goals for yourself, Adam. Why do you want to get rid of caffeine addiction? What problem is it causing for you? What strategy can you take to replace caffeine? Even if you did little by little, say if you get a cup of coffee, put more water than coffee each time, and or decaf coffee, whatever it is that you're doing, and just come up with some strategies, and that will also help you get a very good start on carnivore. Anybody that needs to start, that wants to break an addiction. Also, I used to do a lot of self-harming to myself, and the what really helped me stop doing that is that every time that I thought about doing it, because my depression was that bad, I hated myself so badly, I wanted to harm myself. And so, I knew that, okay, this I feel like I deserve to hurt myself, so, um, what am I gonna do? I would get up, go wash my hands, get a drink of water, go open the door and look outside. The point was that I physically moved my body. I did something, got some lotion out and put lotion on my hands, something to break that thought. And then eventually, um, I would start doing that. And then I would say, okay, in 5 minutes, if I still feel this way, then, I'll let myself harm myself. And I worked down all the way down to 30 seconds, but it took that knee jerk reaction away, and I just retrained my brain. So it is possible to retrain yourself from an addiction. And is there something that if you never had caffeine today, what would happen to you? What would you be missing? How would your life turn out? You have to think outside of the box to, instead of, because we get trapped in, oh, I need the caffeine. It's just a lot. I can't even concentrate. I need it so badly. Well, that's exactly what you have to do. You have to, it's like a little track in your brain. And if you move, you're jumping out of that track and getting onto like the side of the track. Even that's better because you can pick one thing to focus on instead. Anyway, I don't mean to be all psychological about it, but that's really the way it
No,
works.
I love that. I love that, and thank you for sharing that with me as well. There's a few things in there that you were saying that I can definitely employ and to try to break this. I guess the main thing for me is with it, I've had tremendous results. I've healed brain damage with carnivore
Yeah.
diet, right? Like I lost 80 pounds. There's a whole list of issues it just solved. And I did it with either drinking Diet Pepsi or coffee, the majority coffee on this diet. And I've quit a couple times and then went back to it. But it to me, it seems like the boon that you get from the coffee is just slightly better than the sort of feeling inflamed or feeling, the side effects, the negative effects from it. So it's like just trying to rationally like it wasn't that bad, but in the end, it's like, if I was a hunter gatherer, I would probably kill an animal, in order to sustain myself, but I
Mhm.
definitely wouldn't be going to Colombia and picking, yeah, coffee fruits and drying them out and roasting them and then pouring water through them. I definitely wouldn't be doing that. So, yeah, in the end, it's like, what am I doing this for, right? Like this seems like it's just a product that I'm being sold that, has got me addicted and I need to kick it.
Yes, and you know what I heard a saying the other day, which pretty much just sums up my life. I'm thinking about is the work harder than the outcome, the effort to get it? And I wanted a cool way to say that, so I asked Chat GPT, "How can I say this?" And then they said, "The juice is not worth the squeeze." And I love that because you would be so thirsty if you had to go to Colombia and do all that. You would be so thirsty by the time your cup of coffee was ready.
Right. Yeah, I
I
would
think
have
that
given
this
it up a long time ago. Oh my goodness.
I think it's gonna become my new motto, "The juice is not worth the squeeze," because that's another thing that trips us up. Oh my gosh, thinking about the holidays, coming up. Is it
Mhm.
really worth the squeeze just to go, yeah, you wanna go spend time with family, but you know what? As for a gathering after Thanksgiving, does it have to be on the one day that everybody's gonna, especially all the old women in the family are gonna say, "Oh, come on, just have a little bite. It won't hurt anything." You know they're going to, you know? And so is
Oh,
that
yeah.
really worth the is it really worth it to go and just be with family unless you're, way across the country and you're not gonna get to, but then you've gotta set yourself up with a strategy so that then your effort is worth the squeeze because now you've set yourself up for success. So we should
Absolutely.
talk about that. I have some ideas that we could share with the community. We
Yeah.
should do
Yeah,
that.
awesome.
Yeah.
I love that. So you talked about goals. Do you have any short-term goals that you're working on right now?
Yes, I do actually, and I'm going there today. Storage. I still have storage from my parents passed away, and my things in storage. Once I broke my legs, I moved into a little mobile home, and it's not very big, but I'm trying to. I said I would be here for 2 years. Well, next month it'll be four, because I haven't been able to go through and do what I need to do. So, um, somebody donated some shelves to me. I hired a couple of guys from a local organization here, and we put all my storage up on the shelves. So my goal is to get those boxes organized so I have room to put the boxes now in my home there, sell my home, and get on the road. Hopefully, magically find a different van to drive. It's 24 years old and feels like it, so I need a different van to live in. But that those are my main goals is by April. And so I've done the same thing. Why do I want to do this? What is my strategy? And today I'm trying to go at least 2 days out of the week out of the Texas heat now that we're having a cold front. It's 70 here today. So
Oh, wow. Amazing.
yahoo! But, anyway, so that's my goal, and I also know the only way I'm gonna be able to do that is if I feed myself and get myself organized enough that if I go work at storage, it makes me tired. I don't have to recover for 4 or 5 days afterwards. I can take an hour and have lunch and recover and be ready to do something else, So, it's all
That's
about
awesome.
strategy and planning.
That's awesome. For those with EDS, do you have any recommendations with them in terms of the carnivore diet?
Start. Start it.
Awesome.
And think, just think, research it, go watch Carrie's videos, Carrie Mann, and go watch Dr. Barry's videos and any videos that you can. Go look at a couple of my videos. I have a few little videos on my YouTube channel that will help you understand carnivore and how it supports EDS. And just start asking in the EDS communities online as well. There a lot of people just don't understand. They don't understand that eating a simple, not a lot of preparation diet can make you feel so good that you can have at least a portion of your life back. People with EDS, you're never going to feel 100%. My 100% is probably like a healthy person's 75%, but I'll take it because when you have EDS, usually you have POTS, they kind of go together. And pretty much you feel like a normal person when they have the flu, their worst day of the flu is what you wake up feeling like every day with EDS, And so that be somebody's 75%, I'll take it, man. I think that's great.
That's awesome. So, Amy, I think we need to try to wrap this up so we can get to the next meeting. Is there anywhere where folks can reach out to you or find you on the internet?
Yes. My YouTube channel is Amy, a carnivore created in secret. And I also have a blog, Genes That Don't Fit.net. And it's genes, GENES, no apostrophe, and the don't, no apostrophe. So genes that don't fit.net. And that's primarily an EDS blog, but now I'm starting to add carnivore content. So
Awesome.
you can find me on Facebook just at Amy Hosp, and I'm the only Amy Hosp there. I have about 5 pages. So it's the one with the little car cartoon.
Awesome. Well, Amy, I really truly appreciate you spending this time with me and getting your story out. This is going to help so many people. And, you are basically facing insurmountable odds, especially with having the gastric bypass, right? And all these major, major health issues. You said you had over 62. So that's the odds were stacked against you.
Yes.
And for you to come out on the other side and say that your health is improving and your blood markers are great and you feel great, and you're not depressed anymore. I mean, that's just absolutely incredible. It's inspiring. It gives me hope. It gives, I'm sure, no doubt, gives others hope. So thank you so much for sharing that with me today.
Thank you so much. And this is exactly why this is the most hopeful I have ever felt in my entire life. Carnivore. Yeah. I should rename it Hope.